Guys, I swear, for like the last 2 weeks straight, being here in the Northwest, back home, it has been raining for like the last 2 weeks straight, and it's supposed to not stop for at least a couple more days. Several inches of rain. People always ask me, Tanner, why do you guys not race a little farther into the year in Oregon and Washington? Well, it's because right now we deal with this. Everything is so wet. There's flooding going on, and then if you look at some of the elevation above us, which you can't really see my camera, there's some mountaintops a little higher than us, and they will all have snow for ridges upon ridges behind my home. So that's why like September is your last month of racing here as far as outdoor action goes. Now today I have an important topic and something I wanted to bring up here on the channel. The World of Outlaws schedule just got dropped this morning. We've been waiting for it. Hey, when are the Outlaws gonna post High Limit? Dropped it a couple weeks ago, so we've kind of had an idea of what all those races are gonna look like. But the Outlaws were waiting, and now more than ever schedules get dropped earlier. It always used to be at PRI, which is in December. That's still like 3-ish weeks away. But now it's a trend where everyone drops them in November, and like I said, it just seems like every year they keep getting earlier and earlier. But I was looking through the World of Outlaws schedule, and I wanted to share one key thought that I feel like is very important for where sprint car racing is at, the health of the sport, and where things are at all across the board. I'm talking from coast to coast. Here we go, 2025 schedule. Now, if you guys haven't seen it, you should go and check it out. Both the Outlaws and High Limit, it's worth me saying that in 2025 you need to go out and support dirt races. It's so key. At your local level, go out and enjoy the show. But also these guys too, the top series, they need your support as fans. But if you can make it happen, get on out to the track and get that real in-person experience. I'm telling you, it's so much better, especially the big shows. When you're there in person, you see it happen live. In our sport, it cannot survive without you, the fans. Without you guys, we are not race car drivers. Dirt tracks aren't dirt tracks. So for what I want to talk about, you got to scroll pretty far down the schedule. Let's see, you got to go right here. Early September. Now the topic of discussion today, everybody loves this one. High Limit versus the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. For whatever reason, there's always like a little drama on this topic, so people just love to follow along with it and like to throw out claims about one series or the other. In my personal opinion, I felt like in 2024, I raced with both of them. I think they both did a phenomenal job. I felt like both had a good schedule. Both series had plenty of full-time cars, traveled across the country, paid out more money than ever to the drivers. And on a lot of nights, I think we saw both series had record numbers of attendance at certain racetracks. So just a lot of wins across the board. I don't feel like there was many negatives. Now with that moving forward, I do think though we're gonna start to see the effects. See, last year was kind of early in the game, so it was too early to see some of the effects of having both national series. But no matter what, as there's competition, it's gonna make both better, but there is gonna be some shakeups no matter what, because now we have two guys in the space and not just one. And I have one to pick out today because it is big. It's from my area. It's from where I am from. But with the Outlaws dropping their schedule, there's so many, a lot of their normal weekends, the Outlaws have a very similar schedule every year. But this year, when they come out to the West Coast in September, they've cut down their races in California from 3 weekends. And how I should say is, like, usually when the Outlaws came out here, and even years back, they used to come early in the year and later in the year, but they'd always come out for about 3 weeks at a time across the whole entire West Coast, because that was really the only way to make it worth it, right? Well, looking at this schedule, for the first time, their West Coast swing is now only down to 4 races. Now on the way out, they do hit Vado Raceway Park. That's in New Mexico, so they definitely, that helps make it a little more worthwhile, but that's not necessarily like a West Coast race. I would say that's in New Mexico. That's down south. And I'm not trying to make a big deal out of nothing or anything. I'm just saying I think that this directly shows that the Outlaws obviously saw some effects from those World of Outlaws shows last year. High Limit came out this way first, then the Outlaws followed in the weeks to come, and it kind of felt like at those races, the numbers were a little low. We didn't have as many fans attend. Car counts were obviously good. I think we saw great car counts for the Outlaw shows, just like we saw for the High Limit shows. That's not necessarily the worry. The cars are there. It's just, can the fans attend both races. Another thing to think about, if you're from the Midwest, you're used to being able to drive 25 minutes and go dirt track to dirt track to dirt track, but see, out here on the West Coast, it's not necessarily the same. We're a little more spread out, and so there's only so many tracks that can hold a World of Outlaws show for safety reasons. They can even have enough fans, they can afford it, all of the above. And so it's not like, if the Outlaws wanted to have more races, they could go to Oregon or could go to Washington. Heck, there's only 2 tracks in the state of Washington. Just trying to kind of get my point across. So it's difficult as High Limit has kind of taken over some of this West Coast, with the Gold Cup, with the Skagit Nationals, having that one race in Oregon, and having a solid West Coast swing. It doesn't really leave much left for the Outlaws. It makes me wonder, like, if they didn't have that Dennis Roth Classic for $83,000 to win and then some more purse money down, which is great, but if they didn't have that, would they even be coming out this way? Obviously it wouldn't be as worth it. That's a good solid payday for whoever wins, but man, it's just it's scary to see less races out this way than more, because I feel like as the National Series come this way, they really got to get the most bang for their buck. They got to run as many times, save costs for the team. Hotel rooms aren't cheap, the fuel to get out here is not cheap, and then you even just hear horror stories when the teams do come out this way. Unfortunately, like in the state of California, I know a team that had their diesel siphoned out of their rig. Like, it's just it's crazy. It's just the times that we live in. But like I said, I understand why the Outlaws are cutting back. I just wanted to point that out. After kind of how their West Coast swing went at the end of this last year, I feel like that's one of the first effects we're kind of seeing is both series obviously want to run across the country. They're both national schedules. And I think in most areas you can probably make it work. You have the tracks to pick from and you have the people. And out here on the West Coast, we have the people. It's just getting them to the races and letting them know that there are races and, pulling them away from all the other distractions that would keep them from coming to the dirt tracks. So it's just a really interesting concept. And like I said, it's unfortunate. And moving forward, we're just going to have to see how this kind of continues to play out. But it's kind of more small details like this, as I mentioned, that are the effects of having 2 players in this game. So with that, I'd be interested to know what your guys' thoughts are. If you want, you can tell me who you think's on top, Outlaws or High Limit, or who has a better schedule, or what series you're going to be supporting in 2025. As I mentioned, I think if you can, you should really try to support both. Help the overall health of 410 Wing Sprint Car Racing as well as the other series. We all have to do our part, and we're looking forward to another big year of action. Of course, we're going to be racing with both as well, and all across the United States, but we'll have more details on that soon and start talking about what our exact plans are. So have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try to stay dry outside here in the Northwest, and we'll have more content to finish up 2024. Deuces.